Jody Avirgan here. I'm glad you're enjoying 30 for 30 podcast, part of a special collection of sports audio documentaries from ESPN Films. We're finding the best sports stories for you right now. And to do that, we're behind the wheel of the Mini Countryman, the biggest mini yet.
Please proceed to the highlighted route.
To find great sports stories, you have to get out into the world and follow your instincts. That's where the Mini Countryman's all-wheel drive comes in handy. With all four, we can chase down a story in the city, the country, and most places in between. Podcast equipment isn't very bulky, but even if we're hauling a lot of gear, there's plenty of cargo space for all your stuff. And if a few of our producers tag along, no problem. The Mini Countryman comfortably seats 5 adults. The Countryman may be big, but it still drives like a Mini thanks to the twin-power turbo engine. No matter what story you're chasing, the Mini Countryman will help you find it. It's available now, and so are 30 for 30 podcasts. Visit miniusa.com/countryman today.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Hour number 2 of the Stephen A. Smith Show here with you for the next hour over the airwaves of ESPN Radio. Sirius XM Channel 80. Number to call up as always is 866-729-3776. That's 866-SAY-ESPN. As I announced at the top of the show, really wasn't an announcement. It was more of a reminder. Today, December 22nd, 2017, is my last show of the year. I'll be back January 2nd, 2018. That's a week from this upcoming Tuesday. At which time, upon my return, even though we're on Sirius XM, which is nationwide, on free radio called terrestrial radio, that's AM, FM signals, I've only been on in New York and L.A. for the past year. As of Tuesday, January 2nd, about 11 days from now, I will be on in over 250 markets across the country. The Stephen A. Smith Show will officially be nationwide, not just on Sirius XM satellite radio, also on terrestrial radio, AM, FM dial, and an ESPN station near you. On behalf of Jonathan Winthrop, Nuno Texiera, Catherine Pastor, I want to thank everybody out there for our support, for your support towards the Stephen A. Smith Show. It is greatly appreciated. You know I feel this way. This is not my show. This is our show. I'm just the ringleader, pulling the strings, making sure that I breathe fire and I bring the rain all at the same time every weekday that I'm on the airwaves. So I just want to let you know my sincere gratitude to all of you for listening and supporting the show. I sincerely hope that it will continue so we can grow and shine together. That is the intent. I'm incredibly grateful to it, and I'm doing everything that I can to make sure I'm in the best of health, God willing, so I don't let you down. And so that's where I'm at with it. Again, today is my last show of the year. I'll be back January 2nd, and upon my return, not only will I be on Sirius XM nationwide, I'll also be on free terrestrial radio nationwide and an ESPN station near you in over 250 markets throughout the country. I expect it, intend for it to grow from there. There's more markets than even that to capture, and I'll be after everything. I tell people all the time, particularly when they talk about an African American being in this position, I said, I've never been after black appeal. I'm always after mass appeal. I want everybody. I want everybody. White, black, Latino, Hispanic, Jews, Gentiles, Jewish community. I mean, it don't matter. I don't care. Native American, Asian, everybody. You like sports? You like sports talk? You want to listen? I want you listening to this show. If I can pull it off, that's what I'm after. I'm greedy like that. In television, in radio, on print, with a book that I'm finally going to write. The list goes on and on. I'm just getting started. I'm not stopping. 2018, here I come. 2017 obviously has been an incredibly, incredibly rough year for yours truly. The greatest woman that I've ever known, my mama, passed away. It's been a really, really tough year, to be quite honest with you. I can't wait till this year's over. It's not going to be the greatest holiday season for me, but As long as it's great for my loved ones, I'm fine. But 2018, as ambitious as I've always been, it's nothing compared to how ambitious I intend to be. I am going for it. And I just wanted everybody to know, and I wanted you to jump on board and let's all go for this ride. Today, December 22nd, our very, very last show for the year. As is, come January 2nd, nationwide, everywhere, on Sirius XM as well as terrestrial radio. The Stephen A. Smith Show, 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Check your local listings and buckle up. 866-729-3776. That's 866-SAY-ESPN. Want to go through a slew of these games because some of these games matter to me, some of these games do not. I'm going to keep my eyes on Baltimore and Indy because Baltimore is still in the playoff race. They play Saturday at 4:30. And I'm quite surprised. I didn't expect Baltimore to have this good, a decent year because I don't believe in Joe Flacco. John Harbaugh, though, once again has done a good job. This defense, you keep wondering when it's going to be over for Baltimore, but they're still relevant. They're still relevant. You got Minnesota going up against Green Bay. Brett Hundley is your quarterback. Minnesota's vying for a number 1 seed within the East, within the NFC. They cannot lose this game. I am not sold on Case Keenum at all, not even a little bit. I don't give a damn what kind of year he's been having, but I will say this. Minnesota is going to be pretty damn tough to beat if the road to the Super Bowl has to go through Minneapolis. That I can tell you. Somebody better recognize that. Somebody had better recognize that. Tampa, Carolina, there's two storylines there for me. Cam Newton at 10-4, trying to fend off New Orleans to win the NFC South. And the other is Jameis Winston and how disappointing of a season this has been for Tampa Bay. Got the coach he wanted. Former offensive coordinator when Lovie Smith was there. Suddenly Lovie Smith is out after 1 year and Dirk Cutter's the new man in charge. It's amazing how guys ingratiate themselves with the powers that be, trying to convince everybody they're the ones more worthy of the job than their predecessors and their superiors, and then they get the job and wet the bed. I'm not saying Dirk Cutter did anything on purpose. I have no knowledge of that. What I am saying is that he succeeded Lovie Smith prematurely in my estimation and has shown so that he was not worthy because Tampa Bay has stunk since. Jameis Winston needs to be better. I haven't been impressed. He just needs to be better, and I wish him nothing but the best. I ain't rooting against him, but damn, I need him to be better. Plain and simple. Chicago versus Cleveland. Who cares? Detroit versus Cincinnati. Other than Detroit needing to win this game to stay in the playoff hunt, there's only one storyline here. This should be the end for Marvin Lewis, these last two games. He should never be the coach in Cincinnati again. Period. Kansas City, after shellacking the Chargers, they control their own destiny. They're going up against Jay Cutler. You can't beat Jay Cutler. You don't deserve anything. Buffalo and New England is very interesting. This is a playoff potential matchup. Buffalo hasn't been in the postseason since Lord knows when. I mean, my God, it's been pretty bad for the Buffalo Bills. I mean, have you seen this franchise? Have you seen their level of ineptitude? When are they going to get it together? You got Shady McCoy, one of the best running backs in football. What you going to do? Inquiring minds want to know. I know I do. The last time the Buffalo Bills actually made the playoffs was in 1999. It's been 17 years. Ladies and gentlemen, I had an afro 17 years ago. Okay? I wasn't working at ESPN 17 years ago. I wasn't a daddy 17 years ago. I mean, you got to be kidding me. 17 years? This is Buffalo's chance. They got to win this game. It's just that simple. They got to win this game. They can talk all they want to talk. It's in New England. Don't like their chances. But they need to handle their business. They really, really do. Atlanta and New Orleans, that's one of the great games. Can't wait for that one. These 1 o'clock games, those are the two biggest ones. Actually, three biggest. Because, listen, Atlanta, New Orleans is a big-time game. Chargers, even though you're behind Kansas City, you still got an outside shot. Handle your business. It's against the Jets. Jets, I'm actually at 5-9. I'm tired of the Jets winning games. I want them to lose a little bit more so they can get one of these quarterbacks. Because clearly they don't feel like they found their guy yet. Then you got the Rams versus Tennessee. I'm looking at the Rams versus Tennessee. I'm here to tell you something right now. Marcus Mariota needs to show me something. Rams need to continue winning as well because guess what? Despite the season that they've had, if the Rams don't win a playoff game, I won't call the season a failure because under the Jeff Fisher regime, they were allergic to prosperity. They were irrelevant by October. So I'm not going to go that far, but I will say it'll be very disappointing to me based on the talent that they have if the Los Angeles Rams find themselves as a third seed within the NFC playoff picture and they end up losing in the playoffs before winning a game. I would be very disappointed. Denver and Washington, totally irrelevant. I actually think this is the place Jimmy Garoppolo should want to go, even though I can understand why he will want to stay in San Francisco because if you got a coach who believes in you, young talent who's been flourishing with you, you're 3-0 as a starter, clearly you're their franchise guy. And anything they look to do in free agency or in the draft is going to be to build around you. That's a pretty good position for Garoppolo to be in. I mean, I ain't going to lie to you. Colin Kaepernick aside, he looks like the best quarterback in San Francisco since Joe Montana and Steve Young. At least if these 3 games tell us anything. Now, I'm not going to go as far as calling him Jimmy G and giving him the nickname like my lovely moderator for First Take, Molly Curran, so fondly says of him. But he has been impressive. And he is 5-0 in his NFL career as a starter. I can't ignore that. He's going against Jacksonville, though. I'm paying attention to that because I want to see Jimmy G against Jacksonville, this Jacksonville defense. And they're playing for something because the Steelers might be vulnerable. And if the Steelers lose another game and Jacksonville wins, then Jacksonville's the number 2 seed in the AFC because of how they spanked the Steelers 30-9 when they met them in Pittsburgh earlier this season. I got to pay attention to all of that. All of it. Of course, there's Oakland, Philly on Monday night, Pittsburgh, Houston Monday afternoon. Who cares about the Giants, Arizona? Giants just keep losing so you can get a quarterback. Seattle and Dallas, I've already spoken about how big that game is. Lots of NFL stuff to talk about. Plus what I was alluding to earlier with the NBA. Stick around, don't touch that dial. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio.
Want to be a part of the show? Hit Stephen A. up weekdays from 1 to 3 Eastern at 866-729-3776.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I've never felt more alive.
Disclaimer. Geico cannot guarantee you will feel more alive. You either possess functioning respiratory and circulatory systems, or you do not, or you are a zombie. If you are indeed a brain-starved zombie and you would like to save money on car insurance, the Geico legal team applauds your excellent life choices, even in your shambling afterlife. But we strongly encourage you to visit geico.com or download the Geico app. Please stay a minimum of 500 feet away from our large and presumably delicious, delicious brains.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
18 minutes past hour number 2 back here on the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. It is my honor and privilege to have my next guest on the line. I have missed him dearly. We had occupational obligations last Friday. The Friday before that, I was sick as a dog. I completely lost my voice and couldn't do anything. I was out the last 3 days of that week. So I didn't have an opportunity to enjoy my Fridays the way I customarily enjoy my Fridays during the NFL season. And that's by talking to my next guest, the founder of pregame.com, which is the exclusive odds provider to the Associated Press. His Twitter handle is at RJ in Vegas. I'm talking about the handicapper extraordinaire Vegas style, the one and only Mr. RJ Bell. He's on the line with yours truly right now. What's up, RJ? Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, buddy.
Yeah, same to you, Steven. Same to you.
Let's get right into the games because we got so many games to get to. I gotta have you break it down for me. Let's start with the Saturday games. Baltimore Ravens favored by 13.5 hosting the Indianapolis Colts. What's up?
I like the Colts here getting the points. They got 10 days rest, and that's more important with a Saturday game. And considering the holidays, it can be distracting on these short weeks. Additionally, if you look at the Ravens, this will be their 6th backup quarterback they play this season. So these stats are really good, but probably they're not as good as those stats. So I'm going to take the points, especially when this is expected to be a low-scoring game.
Saturday, Minnesota Vikings favored by 9 at the Green Bay Packers, who have decided to sit Aaron Rodgers for the remainder of the season.
Which makes sense because, I mean, to me, last week's loss by the Packers, probably the ultimate dream crusher. They waited and waited for Rodgers to come back. They won just enough games that if he had finished the year with wins, they might have made the playoffs, and now that's all over. We're back to Hundley. By the way, Hundley at Lambeau, 4 games, 0 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 131 yards per game. I want no part of this Green Bay team, but I don't want to lay this big number on the road. I'm going to pass.
Let's go to Sunday's game. The Detroit Lions favored by 3.5 at Cincinnati.
I think you got 2 motivated teams here. Now, that might sound funny. It's obvious the Lions are motivated. They have a chance to make the playoffs. If they win the next 2 games, they have about a 35% chance based on projections to make the playoffs. Why is Cincinnati going to be motivated, Stephen? Because they are off 2 embarrassing, and I mean embarrassing, losses. And that's what you tend to see late in the year. If a team doesn't have anything to play for, but they have multiple embarrassing losses, they want to shut up those talk radio guys locally, play hard. I would lean towards Cincy plus 3.5.
Let's go to the next game. Let's go to the Los Angeles Chargers favored by 6.5 at the New York Jets.
Again, we got clear motivation on the Chargers side, about a 36% chance to make the playoffs if they win their final 2 games. But I think they might be a little flat in a way because they've had so many high-stakes games where they pretty much had to win or they were out. And now that they're favored by almost a touchdown, maybe a little flat. 10 a.m. Pacific time kickoff. That's another negative for the Chargers. And if you look at the Jets, Petty was much better than expected. I lean towards the Jets.
Was he more better than expected? Explain that one.
Well, I mean, expectations were rock bottom, right? They thought Petty might be one of the, Kaiser level bad. And I don't think he was. How would you? Obviously it wasn't elite, but compared to thinking one of the worst quarterbacks we've seen in multiple years, wouldn't you say he played a little better last week?
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's all about expectations.
I got you. Los Angeles Rams favored by 7 at the Tennessee Titans. I think this is a big game.
Yeah, I love the Titans. I've bet the Titans here. Here's the rationale. When you have a team that wins by 30 points or more last week as an underdog, and then they play on the road, 2-13 against the spread. And the logic really makes sense. You have that big win. It wasn't expected. Now you got a shorter week because you got to go play on the road. You tend to underperform. Another reason I like the Titans here, if you would have bet this game last week, a week early, Titans were only +3. Now they're +7. All of that extra value is because now everyone has fallen in love with the Rams. You know something? The scoreboard looked mighty good last week, but their longest drive, the Rams last week, was 47 yards against Seattle. I give them credit for the score, but maybe it wasn't as impressive as it seemed.
Is that your way of saying that the Rams could be a fluke?
Not a fluke. I think that they're one of the 5 or 6 best teams in the league. Now, though, Stephen A., the talk is, and I'm sure you've heard it, could they be the best team? And I don't think they're close to the best team. I think they're in that second tier. I like the Titans.
Chicago Bears favored by 6.5, hosting the hapless Cleveland Browns.
We've been doing this for years. This is the stat that might be the most amazing. Hugh Jackson's last 35 games as an NFL head coach, on Christmas Eve, he's 2-0. Any other day of the year, he's 0-33. And
wow.
By the way, this game is on Christmas Eve. So the trend says go with the Browns. I do like the Browns here. There's one, obviously getting the 6.5. There's one more trend. In the John Fox era, Chicago has been favored 7 times. 0-7 against the spread. And they lost every one of those games as favorites. Vegas said 7 times you're supposed to win. All 7, the Bears lost. I'll take the Browns.
As an aside, how does Vegas feel about Hugh Jackson in Cleveland? Do they blame the franchise and its ineptness for what's transpired, or do they put most of the onus on Hugh Jackson?
I'll be honest. up until the middle of this season, I would say Vegas was optimistic, was a thumbs up with Hugh Jackson because he did such a good job with the Bengals. I mean, if you look at and obviously as the OC, right?
Yep.
But now it's just continued and continued, and they've lost so many games. Quite frankly, they should have won. There's real clock, maybe not so many, but multiple. There's real clock management problems, it seems. So I think Hugh Jackson has trended down to be a negative in the eyes of Vegas.
Let's go to the next game. Carolina Panthers favored by 10, hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I think there's more big questions in this game than any game this weekend in the NFL. How much of a distraction is the ownership situation going to be for Carolina, especially with Cam, a very emotional player, I think most would agree, and it would seem he backed the owner at various times. Is this a distraction? On the other hand, Tampa Bay, off a Monday night game, they played hard, short week though, but they're more banged up than ever. Right now, this Tampa team this week, one of the most banged up teams of any this season. I don't know what they're playing for. I think Coach Cutter's out the door, so I'm staying away. Too many questions on both sides.
New Orleans Saints, big game, favored by 5.5, hosting the Atlanta Falcons.
I lean Saints here. This Saints team at home, when they're playing well, is unbelievable. Saints at home, when the team has a winning record entering the game, like they do here, they've won 19 straight games, the Saints, and against the spread, 15-3-1 against the spread. This Falcons team, I think, is mighty good. Saints are better. I lean Saints.
Let's see. Washington Redskins favored by 3.5, hosting the Denver Broncos.
First off, I really hope, if you like Denver, and I do lean Denver here, that Osweiler plays much, much better than Lynch. I know it's hard to imagine Osweiler much, much better, but Lynch is just horrible. Again, the Broncos have 10 days rest. That's extra valuable during the holiday week. And lastly, Washington won last week, but they got outgained by 70 yards. So I think this Washington team a little overrated. I lean Denver.
Kansas City Chiefs favored by 10.5, hosting the Miami Dolphins. Why such a big spread?
I get a chance, Stephen, to give a hot take to the master of them. Right, here we go. Okay. I think Kansas City is playing better now than they did when they started out 5-0. If you look at their last 3 games, now why do I say 3? Because Andy Reid quit calling the plays 3 games ago. Mm-hmm. Since then, Kansas City has scored over 31 points per game and have gained 7.1 yards per play, which is a half yard better than any other team in the NFL. Now, if you look at the defense, we'll go back 5 games. They're number 6 in the NFL yards per play given up. So even when they started 5-0, they were in the 20s on defense. Now they're in the top 10 on defense, and they're number 1 on offense. I mean, they are clearly playing better, and I would make the case Kansas City right now the way they're playing is a top 5 team in the NFL. What do you think of that?
Oh, my goodness. You think of the way they're playing over the last 3 weeks. I don't think that makes them a top 5 team. They might be just playing well over the last 3 weeks.
I agree, but whenever you have, boy, that's a savvy comment, but whenever you have a short sample size to consider, if there's a reason you can point to that's a fundamental change, let's say you change the coach, right? If a team changes their coach and then they play so much better for 3 games, it means a lot more than just random, and I think the fact that the OC is calling the plays now on offense is the key.
Couple of more games to get to, a few more games actually. Patriots favored by 12.5, hosting Buffalo. Real quick, why?
I like the Bills here, getting the big points. Main reason, Patriots have played 5 out of 6 on the road before this one. I think they're still a little bit tired. I'll take the Bills.
Jacksonville Jaguars favored by 4 at San Francisco.
Oh, wow, the Jimmy G effect.
Jimmy G.
That's all anyone's talking about. And listen, I think it makes sense. On the field, he's playing better, but maybe than the prior quarterbacks, but maybe the energy of the team. When you have a team without clear reasons to play hard, get excited about a new quarterback, that team will play hard. They want to keep this win streak going. I like the 49ers +4.
By the way, if you had to pick, if you were Jimmy G, what do you think he should do? Should he stay in San Francisco or try to get to someplace like Denver?
I think stay in San Fran because you've got Shanahan. If you can, I mean, really, is it crazy to think Shanahan and Jimmy G, Belichick and Brady? Now, obviously, they haven't done anywhere near, but Shanahan's one of the best young coaches, and Jimmy G's one of the best young quarterbacks. I think they stay together.
Arizona Cardinals favored by 3.5, hosting the New York Giants.
I'll keep this one simple. I question the Giants' motivation here. They're off of a Dallas game you know they wanted to win and an Eagles game you know they wanted to win. They lost both of them, and now what are they really playing for against Arizona? Arizona's coach is disciplined. He'll probably, even though they have nowhere to go, have them playing hard. I'll go with the Cardinals.
Cowboys favored by 5, hosting the Seattle Seahawks.
I think this is the value game of the day. This line opened at 2.5. It's up to 5. What's the difference? Everyone's talking about, Seattle, they're yapping amongst themselves. Is there locker room trouble? Maybe so, maybe not. But this line has gone up way too much. And by the way, check this out. If Dallas wins their next 2 games, their chance to make the playoffs is 29%. If Seattle wins the next 2 games, their chance to make the playoffs are 34% better. So the idea that Dallas is motivated and Seattle isn't doesn't make sense. I've already bet Seattle plus 5.
Pittsburgh favored by 9 at Houston.
I think this is clearly the Texans here. There was no team worse than a Mike Tomlin team as a big road favorite. They let down more than any other, and this is a tired Pittsburgh team. Cincinnati, that war on Monday night, then Baltimore, then New England. If there's any time they're going to be a little bit of a letdown, it's this game. Texans plus 9. I like it.
Philadelphia Eagles favored by 9, hosting Oakland Raiders.
Here's the key to this game, Steven, is the Raiders very easily could be eliminated by the time this game is played on Monday because they actually have, if Kansas City wins or if Buffalo wins or if Tennessee wins, Oakland's eliminated. So I'm going to wait until one of those 3 teams win, and then I'm going to lean towards the Eagles.
Always appreciate you, buddy. Thanks so much. Looking forward to talking to you in the new year. I won't be here, obviously, the next Friday because I'll be on vacation before the new year. But happy holidays. Happy holidays to you and yours, buddy. Take it easy. The one and only RJ Bell right here with Stephen A. and ESPN Radio, 866-729-3776, 866-SAY-ESPN. Your calls and more. Back in a minute with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! Turn that music down, please. 38 minutes past hour number 2 back here on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Before we end this show for the year, I want to take a moment to send my heartfelt condolences to the family of Mr. Dick Enberg. For those of you who didn't know, he's a Hall of Fame broadcaster, one of the best to have ever done it. Notable games he's called: UCLA men's basketball. You remember UCLA goes against Houston? Basketball 1968. Remember the 1979 national championship game between Michigan State and Indiana State? Magic Johnson versus Larry Bird, their first meeting against one another. Born in 1935, passed away. They don't know there's no official cause of death, but it is believed to have been a heart attack. But he was a sensational broadcaster, worked for NBC, CBS, did some work for ESPN. He covered 28 Wimbledons, 10 Super Bowls, 8 NCAA men's basketball title games. I mean, look at the resume. I mean, what hasn't he won? Hall of Fame's Ford C. Frick Award in 2015, Pro Football Hall of Fame's Roselle Award in 1999, Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame Gowdy Award in 1995. He won 13 Sports Emmy Awards and a Lifetime Achievement Emmy. Received a star on a Hollywood Walk of Fame. UCLA named its media center in Pauley Pavilion after him just this year. Most recently served as the primary play-by-play television voice of the San Diego Padres. Is after he retiring in 2016 after 7 seasons with the team. What can you say? He's a wonderful, wonderful broadcaster, true professional, phenomenal at what he did, represented the industry with class, with dignity, with exceptionalism, and our heart goes out to him and his family. The passing of Dick Enberg. May God bless his wonderful soul. Your calls and more to close out the show in a minute. You're listening live to Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Blue Moon is brewed with Valencia orange peel and a touch of coriander. It's a creative twist on a Belgian-style wheat ale for a taste that shines brighter. Taste responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! Back to the phones we go before we get on out of here for the year. This is our last show until January 2nd. And upon my return, I'll be nationwide in over 250 markets across the country. AM and FM signals, the ESPN radio station near you, ESPN station near you. Plus, I'll still be on Sirius XM as well. 866-SAY-ESPN. Make your points quick and to the point, or I will do so for you. Got calls to get to before we get on out of here. Make it quick. JP in Brooklyn, you're live with Stephen A. Go ahead.
What's up, Steven? Thanks for having me.
Yep.
Happy New Year's, because I'm not going to hear from you. Merry
sir.
Christmas to you and your
too.
family.
To you and yours.
Michael Beasley, all he has to do is just take a note out of Kyle O'Quinn's book. He needs to hang out with Kyle O'Quinn, learn how to be a Knick. He could be a Knick he could be one of our bookends.
Why are you saying Kyle O'Quinn? Explain that one.
Because Kyle O'Quinn has been doing a phenomenal job. He could be starting on some other teams, but he just play his role. He's quiet, and he gives you maximum energy, and the Knicks need that, especially with KP around, whereas he pick and choose when he want to play, but if Michael Beasley could just stay underneath the radar, give New York what they need, he could be like a Charles Oakley to us, and he could have a very good, home.
Well, let's be real about something here. Kyle O'Quinn is 6'10", 250 pounds. Doesn't mind banging, okay? Goes at it right there. He's from, I love how they say Campus Magnet and Cabria Heights. That's Jackson. That's Andrew Jackson High School, which was renamed. That's from my old neck of the woods. Just wanted to point that out. They went to Norfolk State as well, HBCU. So I got to give Kyle O'Quinn some love. But he's a big boy, willing to bang and willing to make the necessary sacrifices, whereas Michael Beasley's a scoring machine. So we can't ignore that. There's a difference between the two.
But we need that type of player. If he could.
But that's not Michael Beasley, JP. That's not Michael Beasley, JP. Let me tell you something right now. Michael Beasley can show all the effort in the world. If he don't put the ball in the hole, we don't need him. That's what you got to remember. Appreciate the call, though. Thank you. Mike in Denver, you're live with Stephen A. Go ahead.
What's happening with you, man?
Talk to me, bro.
Just want to get to it real quick, man. I think the Knicks going to do something this year, Stephen A.
Like what, Mike? Like what?
I think if they survive that road trip, they're going to make the playoffs, Stephen A.
Well, I think they're going to make this. I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think the Knicks got a shot to make the playoffs. Listen, here's my thing with the Knicks. I just don't want them to have the 7th or 8th seed. I want them to have at least the 6th seed because I want to make sure that they avoid Cleveland or Boston. That's all I ask. I want them to avoid Cleveland or Boston.
They might be able to do that. They know they got to. So we're gonna keep an eye on it, man. I can't wait till the new show starts, and I'll be talking to you.
Appreciate you, bro. Happy holidays to you and yours, my brother. My heart's with you. You know that. I appreciate it. Shakir in New Jersey, you're live with Stephen A. Go ahead real quick.
Stephen A., I was wondering, since Magic Johnson and Isaiah Thomas rekindled their friendship, if something went wrong with the coaching with Luke Walton, do you think Isaiah would come in and coach the Lakers?
I doubt it. I don't think you want Isaiah to coach your team. I think when you look at Isaiah Thomas, he's got bigger aspirations. Isaiah Thomas would like to own a team. He'd rather be an executive. It's not that he doesn't like coaching. He just wants to be in the game. He wants to be relevant on that level. When you talk about Isaiah Thomas, he's a president of basketball operations kind of guy. Now, obviously, he didn't do the greatest job with the New York Knicks. That was a lot of personal stuff that was going on. Not just the whole sexual harassment thing. His mother had passed away, Stephon Marbury. injury. It was a pain in the neck to him, and he was moving right around the corner and living behind his house and stuff. And I'm not knocking Stephon Marbury or anything like that. I'm just saying how Isaiah Thomas felt at the time. So you got to take all of those things into consideration. And then at Toronto, you were trying to be an owner, but it was in Canada, and there was so much stuff that went with it before you know, or after you brought up the CBA. I mean, it's just all of that stuff that goes on. And I think Isaiah Thomas is far more interested in improving himself on that level before he thinks about coaching again.
Stephen A.
Go ahead.
Do you think that, what was my question? I lost track that fast. Do you think the NBA will ever go to like the straight 16 teams in the NBA, like not for the conference?
No, I don't think so because of the distance. You can't have Boston and LA. One's a 16th, one's a number 1 seed, and they're playing first round games against each other flying cross country. That ain't gonna work. I think that's a pipe dream. It's not impossible, but in my estimation, it's a pipe dream. I appreciate the call. Rodney in Brooklyn, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Yes, Steve. It's Ronnie in Brooklyn.
That's what I said. How you doing, Rodney? Go
ahead. Listen, I was driving home from work and I couldn't believe my ears. You were talking to Damian Woody and you referred to Garoppolo as Jimmy G. My question to you, is it official? Does he have a nickname?
No, it's not official yet. I need to see more than 3 games for the San Francisco 49ers. I will say this though. If he destroys Jacksonville this weekend, I might have to reconsider.
Okay, now I want you to play GM for the Knicks. What moves would you make coming up, or would you keep the team intact as it is, or if
you know what I need if I'm the New York Knicks? You know what I would? Can I tell you what I would have done because it's past tense? Can I answer it that way?
That's so.
I would have grabbed Eric Bledsoe from Phoenix instead of holding on to Ntilikina. Ntilikina is long, he can defend, but damn it, I would have grabbed Eric Bledsoe.
Yes.
Ntilikina he gives me nothing offensively. That's what I don't like about him. He gives me nothing offensively. I'm not sold on him. I'm really not. But I got to run. I appreciate the call. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Marco in Queens. You're live with Stephen A. Go ahead.
Hey, Stephen A. Very nice to speak with you. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Go ahead real quick.
I came 8 years ago from Italy here, and I fell in love with Rex Ryan and his team, and his bravado specifically. I wanted to ask you, along with hoping a quick retirement of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, what do the Jets need to hope for the future?
They got to find a quarterback. That's simple. Jets' priority should be finding a quarterback. If the Jets can get their hands on a bona fide quarterback, somebody that can if you got your hands on a Deshaun Watson caliber, which, by the way, they should have drafted. Love this kid Adams out of LSU. Love him. Your safety spot. But you always going to find somebody on defense. You can't find a quarterback every day. Could you imagine Deshaun Watson in a Big Apple? And should have grabbed him. Quarterback's the answer to the question. Got to go. Zach, you're live with Stephen A. You got 30 seconds. Go.
Hey, Stephen A. I just want to say congrats on expanding and happy holidays.
Thank you. Now you got 25 seconds. Go ahead.
Jimmy G, how about Jimmy Garoppolo? Because he's going to make some serious money on this offseason, whether he stays in San Fran or anywhere else. But also, keep looking at Case Keenum. I know he's not – I don't trust him either.
Oh,
with that environment,
goodbye, Zach. Goodbye. The last call of the year is about Case Keenum. Case Keenum? Oh, stop it. Oh, God. Let's see what he does in the playoffs. The Minnesota Vikings better make sure they have home field advantage, or they might not win a damn playoff game. And you're winning because of your defense. Last call of the year, somebody aggravated me. Talk to y'all in 2018.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM Channel 80 and the ESPN app.